Here's the very first boat I bought. A 1985 1436 light for duck hunting.
And you used it for a number of years.
I did, a number of years, yeah. I remember coming down and
Did
picked
you
up
ever
truck
get any
and-
ducks? I never asked.
We'll just say I did.
I'm Bob Hobson. I have been retired from my job as Vice President of Sales for Alumacraft, wherein I had spent 27 and a half years. 26 years later, after my retirement, my son Jim is retiring. That's 50-some years between the two of us representing the best boat company in this country.
You know, he started in 67 when I was 7 years old. It was neat when you would go to a friend's house and maybe over for supper or something and just, small talk. The dad would maybe ask, well, what does your dad do? And when I'd tell him he works for Alumacraft, you'd see they would light up a little bit. It's just neat to know that your dad's doing something that other people think is neat.
During World War II, there was a call from the government to manufacturers in various parts of the country to build things that the military needed. And in Minneapolis, there was a company called Flower City Ornamental Iron, and they were experts in the designing and the working with iron products for decorations for buildings. And they were needed to build portable bridges. They were going to make them out of aluminum. So the government bought them a bunch of different presses and proceeded to build the bridges. Now it's 1944. The war is looking like it's about to end. And they began to wonder what they can do with all that equipment for aluminum. Somebody says, why don't we build a boat? They found an individual by the name of Eric Swenson, who had a naval architect's certificate from Sweden, where he came from originally before he migrated to the United States. And he designed the boats. Alumacraft had an opening. I saw an ad in the paper, and I went over and applied for it. That was the beginning of 27 and a half years that I spent there. I worked my way up from salesman in the field to sales manager in about a year, or a little bit better than a year. And ultimately, a couple of years later, I was in charge of sales for the company, and a couple of years after that, I became vice president and kept that position until 1994 when I retired.
One of the perks was Dad would bring home a boat for us to use every summer, and I always felt like I was the official test driver for Alumacraft, and I'd do everything I could to have fun, run those boats as hard as we could, put her through her paces. We did a lot of water skiing and just had a lot of fun with the boats in those days. Dad shared with me that he was retiring. He had mentioned that it'd be a good opportunity for me to get in. And, Alumacraft had been such a huge part of my life from 7 years old to now I'm 35. I really felt like I was joining my family. Dad's era is model years 67 through 94. My tenure is the model years 95 through 2021. And oftentimes we'll be in the car together going someplace and we'll see a boat being trailered Alumacraft. Just the competitive nature we are, we'll mention, that's from my era. Or he'll mention that was from my era. And it's amazing how many from his era you're still seeing on the road. That speaks to the quality. I mean, we're talking about boats that are 40 years old or more, and guys still trailing them, using them, fishing out of them, and they still got life left in them for sure. We're always looking at innovation and ways to improve, but never at the expense of making it a better product. Quality is certainly number one, and we take a lot of pride in that.